That's me, Paula. Where the heck have I been for 6 months? You know what? I could make a million excuses, but let me just say, welcome back to Paula's Kitchen. We're still in season 4. This is episode 5. There's just been a bit of a hiatus. Anyway, it is autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, and autumn means pumpkin. So I'm gonna make a traditional autumny pumpkin-y dessert recipe today. It is the marriage of pumpkin and cream cheese, and those two things were meant to be together. We all know it. It's pumpkin roll. Now, I haven't made a pumpkin roll in years, full disclosure. I used to make it the old-fashioned way with the dish towel, but we have a secret ingredient, and I have to credit our old pal Taste Better from Scratch.com for giving me a better way to do it, and I'm gonna show it to you. Let's talk about ingredients. Of course, we have the usual staples for any kind of bakery. We have flour, sugar, soda, and salt. We're going to stir into that some pumpkin pie spice, and some cinnamon and some vanilla. Of course, some eggs to hold it all together. And then the filling for the pumpkin roll is going to be our old pal Philly cream cheese, some butter, some powdered sugar, and a little more vanilla. And secret ingredient, you guys, parchment paper. We're gonna roll that cake, that warm cake, up into a cylinder, and then we're just gonna cross our fingers it doesn't crack, and we're gonna have a beautiful pumpkin roll when it's all done. So I just want to say I'd like to dedicate this episode of Paula's Kitchen to my mom, the lady who taught me the love of feeding folks, which I still have to this day. Let's bake pumpkin roll. Quick shout out to my friend Steph over in Shetland. This is one of my favorite aprons. It's the puffins. All right, so step 1, the first thing we need to do is grab a jelly roll pan, which is 15 by 11 inches, very shallow, and line it with the parchment paper. That's a tricky thing to do because parchment paper does not want to adhere to the shape that you want it to be, so some folding might need to happen. Now, the instructions say you don't need to grease it, but you know what, I'm a little bit afraid, so they said you can very, very lightly grease it. So I did, because I'm on camera and I don't want my cake to stick. So you want your parchment paper to extend about 1 inch or so on both sides, so that when it's done we can just lift it out of the pan. All right, let me set this aside. We're gonna get busy. Here we are at the workspace, friends, and we are going to start working with our dry ingredients for the pumpkin roll. So I'm going to need 3/4 of a cup of flour, so drop that in. And then I also need 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and let me just check the recipe. I think it's a teaspoon of soda. So those will go in. Then I'm going to need my spices. So I need 1 teaspoon each of cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice. Now, I actually don't use pumpkin pie spice. I had to go buy some this morning. And you might wonder, what is in pumpkin pie spice? I'm going to read it to you. It is cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, mace, and cloves. And of course the cloves hit you as soon as you open the jar. Yummy stuff. All right, so let me make sure I have all my dries, and we are going to whisk that together. Really simple, not much to this. Done. All right, let me set up for the wet ingredients for the cake. Be right back. I've got my 3 eggs in a fresh bowl, and I have 1 cup of just regular white sugar. So I'm going to pour that in. And again, we're just going to use our whisk to put all that together. I have 2/3 cup of canned pumpkin. Got a little knife here to just kind of help scoop that out of the bowl, or out of the cup, I should say. And oh, that smells so good. I have a zillion recipes for pumpkin. I have pumpkin muffins and pumpkin bread and cookies and whatnot. I never get tired of it. I even make it off season because I just love it. And then the last ingredient, I'm going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Just make sure, I always like to double check the recipe as I go. Okay, 4 simple ingredients for the wet stuff. And again, I'm just going to use my whisk and mix all that together. And then we're going to put our flour mixture in. That is ready to roll. Now, I take my flour mixture, stir just till combined and no dry streaks remain. So let's see what that looks like. There's not a lot of dry. It was only 3/4 cup of flour, so that's not much. So, and I have a spurtle standing by in case my whisk doesn't do the job. And I think they don't want you to develop the gluten on this. You want it to be a very light cake. And honestly, I think that's it. Let me grab the pan and we'll get this going. I always try to do this towards you. Sometimes it's a little trickier than it seems, especially with this parchment paper that doesn't necessarily want to comply. All right, gotta turn it around. Now, there's not a lot of batter, as you can see in the overhead camera. So I'm going to have to do quite a bit of spreading to get this to go all the way across, which I think is probably the reason why this roll actually rolls in the first place, is it's going to be a very thin cake when all's said and done. All right, folks, let me get this spread, and then it is going into a 350-degree oven for about 14 or 15 minutes. So I will see you then. All right, finished product. I just pulled it out of the oven, took about 14 minutes, put a little toothpick in the middle, and now, per the instructions, I grab my little handles, bring it over to my heat-proof surface, and immediately I'm gonna roll it into a spiral. So, starting at this end, and I apologize for the crinkle sound, but what are you gonna do? It's paper. There we go. It's rolled up. Now it goes onto my rack and it needs to cool completely, and then we're going to make our wonderful cream cheese, butter, and powdered sugar filling, and we are sure hoping that we're going to be able to unroll this, put the filling in, roll it back up, and have a beautiful presentation. Fingers crossed. We're back. I got a tool in my hand. My pumpkin roll is cooling nicely, and it's time to make the filling. So what we have here is an 8-ounce of Philadelphia cream cheese and 2 tablespoons of butter. So we're going to start with that, and I'm going to turn my mixer on, cream that. Then we're going to add 1 cup of just confectioner's sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So 4 simple ingredients: the cream cheese, the butter, powdered sugar, and vanilla for the wonderful filling. All right, guys, talk amongst yourselves. I have to turn the mixer on. Those are room temperature, so they mixed up very, very quickly. Let me put a little bit of the powdered sugar in, about half. We'll get that going. More or less, we're making cream cheese icing. And who doesn't love that? All right, last ingredient, I'm going to go ahead and put in my 1 teaspoon of vanilla. How satiny and irresistible does that look in the overhead camera? I need to dig my finger in and take a bite, but I'll resist. All right, let me get this cleaned up. We are going to unroll that pumpkin roll and see how we did. Stay with me. As I said, moment of truth. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to gently unroll the cake from the parchment. Remember, I said I did lightly grease the parchment paper, but honestly, it's coming off beautifully. You know what? I think I might need to go the other way. Bear with me as we do this. Success! What do you think?
Wow, I was sweating that one.
Cameraman Dale. He's back there sweating it out. Okay, this is exciting. Let me dump the paper. All right, so I'll start here at the back. I apologize, it's not going to show, I think, in the overhead camera too well, but I'll work my way forward, and you'll see it eventually. So basically, it's like an icing. Let me just, and I have to get an even layer. I don't want to be too generous on the back end and then, you know, cheat it later. So we'll just come forward like so. And then all we're going to do is wrap it in some plastic wrap, and it has to chill about an hour before we slice and serve the pumpkin roll. So as you can see, it's not a lot of icing, and you have to be a little bit sparing as you spread it around. I think that's about the best we can do. Let's get every piece off the spatula that we can get. We don't want to waste a thing. All right, now, will it roll? What do you think? Thumbs up. We did good. All right, I'm going to wrap it in my plastic wrap for an hour, and we'll see you over at the table for some sampling. How long has it been since you and I sat here with food in front of us?
I'm wasting away because I'm just not eating any food.
Both of us totally wasting away for the absence of Paula's kitchen.
Believe me, let me tell you something. This is amazing. But we have to go on diets. What do you think?
We better, although the holidays are coming up. What a terrible time to think about that.
All right, this looks gorgeous.
It is, so we barely could wait. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes or so. It is chilled, and we are so excited at how beautiful the roll turned out.
Oh my gosh.
Just gorgeous when I sliced into it. And I have to say a big thank you to my friend Austin for this beautiful antique platter that we put it on.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'll tell you what, the last time I had this, we had a neighbor, really a really nice lady, and she made me a whole roll of this.
She did, and her name was Bernadette. We loved it so much. I got the recipe from her, and I made that for a while, but that was the one with the dish towel. So now we've graduated to parchment paper, and maybe I'll make it more often.
All right, I can't wait. I'm gonna dig in.
No kidding.
It looks amazing.
It's so moist. Oh my gosh, but so beautiful to look at.
Oh my gosh, that's like heaven.
It is a marriage made in heaven, is it not? Pumpkin and cream cheese?
That is just,
they just
that's
belong
heaven.
together. Super moist.
Oh, wow.
All I did was dust it with powdered sugar, cut into it, and yum.
What's the calorie count on this? Any idea?
It's actually on the recipe. You'll see it in the description box.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure
We're not talking about that right now.
Okay. It's just amazing.
We got ourselves a glass of milk to go with it, but honestly, if we had apple cider, we would have done that. Although coffee, tea, glass of wine, take your pick. What a wonderful autumn dessert.
Well done, Paula. You're back.
Super easy to make, you guys. Don't be afraid of making a roll, especially with the parchment paper. This is delicious. A+++.
All right, my friends, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button. Anything you want to tell these folks right now, Paula, it's your turn.
Thank you for waiting. I know it was a very long wait. I can't make any promises for the future, but we will be in the kitchen for one of the Scotchmas episodes, so we'll see you soon.
Hope you had a good time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Everyone.
This is just too good to not eat.
Fabulous.